All right, so we're getting close here on edges part 2. So now we're going to start matching up the 4 edges that line the top and the bottom. Now I usually start with white, just because that's usually just what I do. It's routine. So I can see that these 2 oranges are in, and we're going to do the same thing that we did while matching up these centers. We're going to move them from the opposite side over to this side. Now you're going to notice that when we do a move like this, now we just wreck this center and we've wrecked this center, so we're going to have to move it back. However, I do a bit advanced stuff, so I'm going to teach it to you anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I want to get something orange and white opposite down here. So I can see this one can come down here. So I can match it up just like this. Now I want to find the other one and put it down here without disturbing my centers though, so I can still put them back. Alright, so let's go ahead and find the other orange and white, which is here. Now I want this one to be here so I can move it over into here. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to disturb the centers, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to hide it with another layer. I'm going to put this layer back, and then as I bring this back, it's going to realign the center. So I can see that I've put this one there while still maintaining all my centers. Okay, now it's going to take a bit of practice. I know when I started learning this process, I had to resolve my cube a few times. So alright, so now we can just go ahead and get this out. So we put it to the side, replace it with whatever's underneath it, and bring it back. What's in front? Blue and white. What's opposite of this? Green. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the blues in. Why not? So here is another blue. Now I need this blue to be down here without disturbing the centers again. So I'm going to bring the location it needs to be in up, put it in that location, put it back down, which fixes that center because we reversed that, and now we just reverse that. So you can see that this is now opposite this, and we didn't wreck our centers, so we can move it in. And that actually fixed our centers. So now we have a bit of, you know, we can play around with it a bit. We don't have to screw around because our centers are fixed. So this blue here needs to be opposite, so down here. Let's just turn it over because we can, because the centers are fixed. Bring it in. Here's the other blue, okay? So we can't do that move now because the centers are out. So this one has to come down here. So move this up, bring it into it, move it down, bring it back. It's now opposite, centers are all out still, and there we go. So what I like to do is stack, you know, I've put this one here on the right side. So I'm going to put this on the right side as well, so we're working on the left side now. So we kick that one out, bring this down, bring this back. Now we have red and green. What's opposite? Red. So let's bring the red over. Where's another red? Well, another one's right here. So there's a red and green. So again, this needs to come down here. So bring this location up, put it in, turn it over, bring it back, and now you can see this is here, which we can match up. Now the centers are fixed again, so we can go ahead and just move things in as we want, but not quite, because if I was to just move this in, well, now I've put this one here, which we're going to destroy if we start moving around. So we're going to have to do that move anyway. So what we can do is put it here, turn it over, put this back, put that back, and this is now opposite of these reds. So we can go ahead and put it in. So I know that these 2 spots are filled up, so we move to the left this time. Move it over, and now we just have the greens. So I can see that we've got these 2 greens here, and 1 green opposite. So we've moved that in. Our centers are still out. Now this has to come here. So put it there, turn it over, put this back, and put that back. So now this is opposite this green. So we can go ahead and move it in. A little confusing there. Hopefully you didn't get lost. Alright, so now this has to go on the side. So we move this up, kick that out, put this down, put this back. Now we can rearrange or realign our centers again. So the centers are realigned. So now we want to work on the yellow ones, which are a bit more difficult. I'm very sorry. We're going to have to learn some algorithms now. So let's put all the white ones on the bottom. So we have these 2 here, and we can put these 2 here. So what we're looking for is we're going to fix these 2 centers because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to fix the 2 centers on everyone first. So we're looking for 2 that are matched up. There's nothing matched up here, nothing here, nothing here, and nothing here. So we're going to learn an algorithm. Hopefully you know it. And we're going to just approach this by any angle, and that should give us a matched pair somewhere on the cube. So we're going to use this as our R, straight through the center. All right? And this is our U, and this is our D. So it's R2, U. R2, U prime. R2, U prime. D. R2, U prime. R2, U, R2. All right, and that did not, which means that we probably have a parity. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to match stuff up. So basically what we're doing is we're switching a whole corner like this for another corner. So if we have this blue on the left here, okay, we want the right, the one that belongs it, on the right, which is here. So let's just go ahead and switch them. So turn this over, move this here, turn this over, move this here, turn this over. So now this blue is in line with this blue. So we can do the algorithm again, and that'll give us a blue one at least. So R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, R2, U prime, R2, U, R2. So that gave us the blue. Now, if my suspicion is correct, we might have another solved one, and we do right here, which means we have a parity, because usually you only have one solved and three out. If I have the green solved and the blue solved, that means I have parity here, and we're going to have to fix that. However, we might be able to fix, because you know we've only done the middles. We still have these two to go as well, so we might have parity in here too. So let's check for that first. So going around, we're looking at these two outer ones, seeing if they're the same. They're not. These are not. These are not. And these are not. So let's go ahead and put something in. So I can see that these two here, this is a blue. So I want the other blue one to be here, which it's not. It's here. So let's put this one here. By hiding it, put the location we want over it, then putting it there, moving it back, and then putting this back. So now we want to do the algorithm again to move this over here, but we want to do it not through the middle, through this one, because we're working with the outer ones, and the U and B, or sorry, the U and D slices are the same. So R2, U, R2, U prime, R2, U prime, D, R2, D, no, sorry, U prime, R2, U, R2. So these are in now, and I can see these are in, and these are not in. So we have double parity, but that's okay because we can fix them both at the same time. But what we do want is we want the parities to be together. So I can see these two are together, and if I want these two to be over here because these are out, these are out, and these are okay. So what we want to do is switch these for these. So I'm going to do another algorithm, and it's a cross center switch. So we're using, again, because we're working with the outside layers, we're slicing through here. So it's R2, U2, R2, U2, R2. And you can see that these are all together. These are matched up. These are matched up. These are not. And these are not. So what we want to do is put them opposite of each other. So this one can go here, 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 and here. So now these are opposite. Now if you only had one in, okay, so if you only had one set of parity, you would do this algorithm. It's the Red Bull algorithm. This will be in the description. You would do this with only the layers you need to do it with, okay? But because we have parity on both sides, we're going to do it with both sides. So this is going to be our R, just like this, and we have to bring this back as well, okay? So we're only moving these two slices. This is going to be our B, okay? So we're going to move it all the way through this slice here. This is our L, and this is just our standard U, and this is our standard F. All right, so R2, B2, U2, and then L, U2, R prime, U2, R, U2, F2, R, F2, L prime, B2, R2. So as you can see, that Red Bull algorithm flipped these up like it usually does. So what we want to do is replace these two with these two. So we have to turn the B2 as a setup move and then do L2 as a setup move. Because remember, the algorithm flips these two for these two. So let's go ahead and do the Red Bull algorithm again, and it'll swap those two all over again. So R2, B2, U2, L, U2, R prime, U2, R, U2, F2, R2, or sorry, R, F2, L prime, B2, R2. So now we go ahead and reverse those setup moves. So it was an L2 and then B2. So now you can see that we're kind of set up here. Now you can start getting an idea of why this is one of the hardest cuboids in the world. It's very, very complicated, but once you understand what you're doing, it's not really a problem. And I can see that I've kind of screwed something up here, but I'm sure I can fix that when I'm done. Okay, so we've also put some centers out here, here, and here, but we can deal with that afterwards. Let's just put the Red Bull in because we can see that these are now matched up and so are these. So again, R2, B2, U2, L, U2, R prime, together, U2, R, U2, F2, R, F2, L prime, B2, R2. Okay, so now we've got centers out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do some parity algorithms, and this is the parity that we're going to use at the end. And wow, this section is long. So we're already at 13 and a half minutes. So we want to switch these for these. So we got to put them close to each other on the left and right. And we're going to do a parity switching algorithm. And we're going to cut through the middle first, and then we're going to cut above it. So this is one of our U's, okay, and this is the other U. The F is behind the parity. So this is the parity. This is in front of the parity, this is behind. So the F is behind the parity, okay? And the R is here. So the algorithm is U2 split through the middle, R2, F2 behind the parity, U2 split through the middle, U2 above the parity, F2 behind the parity, R2, and then U2. And you can see that we have now fixed those. Now as far as this goes, we can do commutators, or we can do that parity flipping algorithm. And I think that what we're going to do is that parity flipping algorithm. So we can see that these are on the left, these are on the right, same thing. Okay, so we're going to cut through. Here is our U. This is going to be our second U above the parity. So here's through the parity, above the parity. Our F move is going to be right through the center because that's behind the parity. This is in the middle, this is in front, so this is behind the parity. R remains the same. So U2 through the parity, R2, F2 behind the parity, U2 through the parity, then U2 above the parity, F2 behind the parity, R2, and then U2 through the parity. But you can see that we have actually moved the parity from here to these edges, because here these belong here and these belong here, because what we did is we flipped everything from behind the parity and above and below all the way forward with itself on the other side, which means that both of these have been switched. So we have to do it again, except for now our F is here. Everything else remains the same. So U2 through the parity, R2, F2 behind the parity, U2 through the parity, again above the parity, F2 behind it, R2, F2. So, all right, now we can replace this. So now our centers are back, and we've got our whites in, and now we have to deal with this. So I know that we're trying to match up all four now. You can see that these are not matched up. So we're going to treat these like kind of corners and these as centers. All right. So I see these are in. When you have one that's completely done and three that are not, hold that one on the left, and we'll do an across center swap, which is really easy. This is our R because we're working on the outside of it. So R2, U2, R2, U2, R2. So now that's done, but we've created a parity here, okay? So what we want to do is move that over. We don't turn the cube. We want the parity here because another one's going to take it out. So now we do an adjacent swap. R2, U, R2, U, R2, U2, R2, U2, R2, U, R2, U prime, R2. Now you can see that all of the edges are done, and that is a huge step of this. We're already at 17.5 minutes or so. So go ahead. This is going to be one wild commentary. I don't even know what I was talking about. All right, so now go ahead and choose solve as domino, because now we have a domino 3x3x4 solve.